Good morning, everyone. Paul Duncan with GammaEdge here. It is Monday, the 4th of April, 2022. Let's get into it. Taking a look at the index condition for the SPX, the SPY, the Qs, the IWM. We're seeing just a little bit of downside puts going in. We're seeing net negative gamma condition rising just slightly compared to the previous day. For the SPX, overall for the SPX, you can see that what we call the green wing, which is the cumulative call gamma, is a little bit larger than the downside, or the cumulative put gamma, or cumulative net put gamma. And what that means in general is that we're in a positive gamma condition overall, calls dominate, a little less volatility expected, etc. We'll have to keep an eye on the increase in downside protection just to see what the market is thinking here. Unfortunately, that's not really confirmed by the SPY. The SPY, you can see, is in a different state. We do have a drop in the overall net negative gamma condition here and an increase on the positive side. Now, this could be due in part to the expiry from Friday. But it also could be that we're seeing some bullish action here, right? Calls tend to be added when people become bullish. And we could see that type of scenario playing out here. For that reason, we're going to color this green and yellow. When we take a look at the Qs, kind of the same situation for the Qs and IWM as the SPY, not really confirming the SPX. We're seeing a drop here on the put side. Didn't really see an increase on the call side or the positive cumulative gamma. Are seeing that though here on the IWM. So again, going to color this green with a yellow light in there. Kind of in a mixed scenario right now, a transitional state. When we take a look at the 0 DTE, I've highlighted some real key areas that I think are important here. This says 45.65 is where we're really looking here for the high side, and then the 45.35 for the low side. And until we see spot price actually get over these negative gamma levels, especially when we have for the expiry, we have a dominant negative expiry, as you can tell by the magnitude of the red wing here, at least for 3 of the 4. What we want to see is the spot price actually drop below this dominant negative gamma level, negative GEX. And why that's important is that the in-the-money portion grows dramatically as soon as spot price gets below these, especially on the 0 DTE or the 1 DTE. So train your eye to look at the expiries and train your eye to look for where are we in relation to that. If we're below that, we could see a monetization event, even though the SPX is cash settled. But certainly for the SPX, or this is the SPX, I'm sorry, I must have cut it off here. Yeah, so SPX here, expiring, here's the SPY, and you can see we're still way above that. When we take a look at the expiring Qs, you can see we're above that, and again for IWM you can see that we're above. In fact, we're above the 0 too, so we've got a kind of a double whammy going on here. Again, if we can drop below, we might get a reversal event, and that could be positive, but for now I'm expecting, since we're between what we call the goalposts on these, I'm expecting them just kind of drifting back and forth and drifting overall. So we're going to color it green with the yellow in there, just to be aware that there could be some chop here. When we take a look at the market model via the cumulative tick, we had a failure on Thursday where we sold off pretty hard. Friday, after the European close, we stabilized in the cumulative tick. It's absolutely important that we do not put in a lower low today. So we need a reversal and a move back to the upside. Failure of that for the ARCX, which is what this is, will indicate don't get out over your skis and take some risk off. For that reason, we're going to color this yellow. Watch this. We call it out during the day in our Gamma Discord, and so you'll definitely want to pay attention to this. Not a good idea to put longs on if we start making lower lows here. When we look at the vol and we look at the VIX, we continue to creep up a little bit here, so we want to watch that. Typically that precedes a move to the upside in terms of the VIX, so we could see some weakness there, and we want to keep an eye on that. Over here on the VIX, we continue to float around this 20 level. I will note overnight we did have a drop in the overall VIX, but nevertheless, look to take out a previous high, and if we see that, we are looking here to play the upside through a fairly wide spread here. Could be fairly lucrative. We'll just have to wait and see. So for the bulls, we're going to color things green with the low VIX environment, but the yellow here does suggest, because what we're seeing here in the increase in vol and VIX is starting to walk up just a little bit. Taking a look at the ES overall, net bullish. We're seeing a move up in positive gamma exposure, the positive trends, which is this yellow line that's back here. It's kind of hidden behind the pricing. If we can get above that positive trends and stay above it, and if we can get and remain above what we call the true gamma zero, we're going to color everything bullish, hence the green light here. When we take a look at that scenario with the ES and we apply that to the SPY, the Qs, and the IWM over about 9 years of history, what we consider a bullish positive gamma, positive trends, and zero, the results, although limited in the count, are quite favorable. And so we're still looking to remain on the bullish side of this. There are some obvious trades here that worked out against us, but most of the expectation is positive, and would urge you to take a look at this and ask questions. For this reason, the back tests all support fairly good growth environment, given what we have. Nothing here suggests that the wheels are coming off the wagon. When we take a look at the expiration for the SPX, relatively weak in general, just the magnitudes that we're seeing here. We do have some net negative gamma, as you saw. If this is monetized, and remember where minus GEX is and where our spot price is in relation to that, we could get a monetization event which could push us up. I note for Friday we're net positive expiry. That generally is not a great condition for a positive week. So just be aware that we could see weakness or chop throughout the week. I'll also note that the monthly expiry is decreasing in magnitude. Just keep an eye on that. We like to see this actually have a fairly strong presence one way or the other. We could be experiencing a bit of rotation here, and just want to pay attention to that. And then the end of month for April, we're actually getting weaker here also, so just be aware of that. When we take a look at the net GEX by strike, pretty important. You can see very clearly where the transition is. Right here at 45.15, you're here at 45.45, which is where we closed on Friday. Dominant level at 4,600, 45.50 is another key level that we have to plow through to get up to 46. To the downside, pretty weak relatively speaking compared to what we have in the positive gamma. 4,500 doesn't present much of an area of liquidity, a little bit more at 44.50, and then you can see actually we have to plow through quite a bit to get to the dominant level down here at 4,300. So lots to get through down here, but it's a fairly weak structure relative to what we have up here. So we're expecting, if we lose 45.15 or 4,500, we could move fairly rapidly through this because this isn't very strong, whereas we do see a lot of overhead resistance trying to get up through this area. We really need to take the 45.50, of course, before we can get to 4,600, but we need to close above this and remain above this in order to make a concerted push that will stick into 4,600. Taking a look at the 0 DTE, single tile here, negative exposure overall, fairly weak. This is almost balanced at 0. You can see where the transition is here for Gamma. Bottom line here is that I don't think we're going to get much higher today than 45.70 into the close. I also don't think we're going to go much below 4,500. We may test these levels intraday. I want to draw your eye here to where the square 6 is. This is actually coincident with the overall SPX structure, as you'll see on the next slide. When we have this setup, this is an interesting setup because this is where Gamma is 0, and when we can identify this, we had it happen twice last week, it can be very lucrative. We put a fly on, for instance, in this area and let it go into the close, and the fly we'd put on was a broken wing, which worked pretty well for a credit, and was able to ride that into the close almost exactly to the pin number there. So keep an eye on that 45.15 level. When we take a look at the overall Gamma condition, you can see net negative positive, as I showed you on the wing charts. Kind of weak, not a very strong dominant level. Here, we're here at the yellow. If we do push up, we do expect a rejection off the 4,600 level. If we do fall below the square 5, which is where that coincident transition is, you can see it's not very strong relative to what we see up here, and we do think that weak downside structure could open the door to literally falling through and then testing these downside levels pretty quickly. These, whether they're at the 25 levels or at the 50 levels is TBD, but you can see not a lot of support compared to the same equidistant Gamma structure that we have up here. So the takeaway here, folks, is a little bit of cautionary, but still bullish on the upside. If you liked what you have seen here today, come join us at www.GammaEdge.us. That'll take you to a sign-up page to come in for 14-day free trial, kick the tires. All the tools are turned on. Growing group, great group, and would urge you to come in and see how you can apply this to your individual style of trading. Follow us on Twitter, please, GammaEdges with an S. And then, of course, you're watching this off YouTube. If you like today's content, please push the like button and follow us so you get notified of the next posting that we do. Thanks, everyone. Make it a great week, and we'll see you in the Discord.